Goodness, your Majesty is so perceptive. Mind you, I'd certainly do the cherishing. Oh, there I go. Do excuse me.
Not at all, not at all. Timon, will you bring me the bundle wrapped in the yellow cloth?
Are you sure?
Quite sure.
You don't think it's a bit too...
Bring me the bundle, Timon. You see, my dear, any wife of mine would have a very busy life. She'd certainly have to be on her toes. Ah, the bundle. Thank you, Timon. Now, I thought I'd show you this beautiful dagger, my dear. A symbol of my wealth and power, so to speak. You see the alabaster handle, the blade superbly inlaid with ivory and silver. Now, where was I? Oh, yes. It's not all feasting and lounging around here, you know. I've got a kingdom to run. You never know what's coming next.
Your Majesty, you're hurting me.
So you want to marry Herod? Then feel this dagger at your throat and see the true Herod before you. No madman now, no amiable dodderer to cajole. I have returned. I am the great, the scourge in the hand of Rome, the professional tyrant. I am the lion, ravenous. I am the insatiable desert, the furnace, the scorpion. Will you dare my sting? Will you be one flesh with the royal beast of Asia? You think I'm a complete fool? You think I can't see through you and your performance? Are you strong enough? Are you my match? Are you up to the job, Queen of the Jews, I wonder? Well, give me an answer.
Your Majesty is wise.
Wise? What do you mean, wise?
However tactful I tried to be, there had to be a test. I knew that. One cannot settle these things lightly.
Tactful? How tactful?
To avoid offence, to show respect.
Respect. That's a good answer, Zubir of Ben Sirach. There, sit up. You're a quick thinker under pressure. I like that. Many have thought too slowly for me. Well, make yourself at home. Not that I'm promising anything.
Sire, excuse me, where are you off to?
Timon, I am an elderly gentleman who's drunk a great deal of watered-down wine. Where do you think I'm off to?
I thought you said he was sane.
He is perfectly sane, which to some people is the problem. I'll just put this little trinket away.
He's acting like a maniac. You call that sane?
Yes, I do. He knows exactly what he's doing. You've had the dagger test, darling. They all did, all his wives. And all the hopefuls. You said it yourself, you can't settle these things lightly. But don't worry, dear, you did very well. I've seen mighty matriarchs yelp like dogs and run for their lives. There was a cousin of the high priest that sat up like an empress and said, "Run me through if you must, but I will never submit to such theatricals." Then she was sick and fainted. She failed, of course, thank goodness. I mean, she was a mean old buzzard.
You mean it's calculated?
Of course. It's a bit drastic, I admit, but it certainly sorts out, well, not exactly the men from the boys, but you know what I mean. You don't just sit about and crochet if you're married to Herod the Great.
Even Mariamne had the dagger test. Even her.
Well, that was a bit before my time, but actually, no, I don't think she did. She got through for other reasons.
He really loved her.
Oh, everybody did. She was a real fairy tale princess, descended straight from the old Jewish kings, and as lovely as the day was long. Herod was totally, madly in love with her. He was her Prince Charming. He cut quite a dashing figure in those days.
He cut more than that. What happened?
Something went wrong. He changed. I think he felt frightened and threatened. He thought people were trying to take his place and he couldn't stand it.
So heads rolled, literally. But they say a lot of it was his imagination.
Oh, I think so. Some of it. There were plots all the time, of course.
Was she plotting?
He thought she was. I don't know. But he got the idea into his head and nothing could shake it.
So she had to go. The old story, love versus power.
No, love versus fear. It's not because he's a monster. He's not well. There's something wrong with him.
Ah, the compassionately insightful interpretation. It does explain all these bottles. Well, you might be right. We used to hear about the latest assassinations up in Trachonitis. The officials used to bet on who'd be next. Rather tasteless. But our monarch seems to have calmed down in recent years. There was a very vague story. Just this time of year, banquet time, something happened in a little village. Bethany. Bethlehem? One of those places. But we couldn't think who could have upset him in a place like that. You wouldn't know, would you?
Sounds like the rumour mill to me. Will you have some more wine?
Yes. It was several years ago, and we hadn't heard of anything since. It seems this palace is a safer place to be. And now I think of it, there was a story a year or two later, quite amusing for a change. Apparently 3 Persian diplomats turned up here at the palace, complete entourage, military escort, everything, and asked to pay their respects to Herod's baby son, the new king of the Jews. Well, of course, there wasn't a baby son. Terrible embarrassment all round. There was an inquiry, a few heads at diplomatic intelligence rolled, and dispatches went back and forth to Persia for months. They never found out who blundered. But you're a survivor, Timon Athenagoras. Why hasn't your head rolled?
I'm not plotting. I don't want to be king.
But he might have imagined you do. Look, you talk to him like a 5-year-old. You practically order him about. People have been hanged for less.
His Majesty needs a little direction when he's...
When he's mad? Well, how did you get the job?
It was all long ago. It doesn't matter.
Tell me, Timon, or when I'm queen, I'll make you.
Well, all right. Well, our family was Greek, you see. I lived in Athens with my mother. My dad died when I was 2, and when I was still young, we sailed across here with my uncle to visit people at Caesarea on the coast. We went for a trip inland one day, and a swarm of bandits came down on us. They were going to make off with me when Herod turned up.
In shining armour?
In a way, he was inspecting the patrols near Caesarea, and his detachment ran into the bandits. Well, we made short work of them, of course, not one left standing. But Herod went straight for the ones that had a hold of me and fought them like a fury. 3 of them, but they hadn't a chance. It was so brave of him. Then he kicked the heads aside and knelt down in front of me with his hands on my shoulders. "I'm the king," he said. "I'll look after you."
What did your mother say?
Nothing. She was dead. So was my uncle. Herod saw it and said to me, "I'm very sorry. Would you like to come and live with me now?" Well, what was I to do? I had no other family, and all I could see was this big, kind man who'd saved my life when he might have got killed himself. I suddenly felt all safe and grateful, so I just said yes, then put my arms around his neck and cried and cried. And that was it. Would you like my wine?
So, he has his moments after all. Nice to know that a man who's executed most of his sons can come over all paternal. Yes, I will have a little more.
Well, I'm in his debt. He saved my life, and I won't hear a word said against him.
With his record, that must be difficult.
Well, with some things, people's records just don't matter.
Ooh, the little Greek worm is turning. Don't get angry with me, dearie. I'm not a bandit.
I'm not so sure.
What do you mean by that?
You're as cruel and vicious as the men that killed my mother. You're no better, you're no different. You'll take what you can get. You'll hurt anybody.
Watch your mouth, you pagan.
Oh, you like it, don't you? You like hurting and lying. You feel powerful or something. Well, I've seen it all before. The court's full of people like you, highfalutin, overdressed bandits.
Take that back. Take it back. How dare you? Do you know who you're talking to? Do you know what I can do to you?
Getting to know each other? All well, sir? All well, Timon. Zibia, my dear, I have to conduct an important interview in a few minutes. Perhaps you wouldn't mind just powdering your nose for a little while. I'll send for you.
I will be ready for your Majesty's summons.
Come here. I thought I heard a raised voice. Who could possibly be speaking like that to Timon? I wondered. I would be very sorry if Timon were ever treated badly, now or at any time in the future.
Oh, I too would be sorry. I would hate anyone to upset your Majesty.
Good. Now run along.
Sire, about that woman...
Yeah, I know, Timon. I heard some of that, but let's talk about it later. You know, it's that time of year again, banquet time.
I was going to say, are you managing?
Difficult, Timon. Difficult. I've sent downstairs for the high priest. He's on his way now. The irony of it, I'm not even Jewish.
I'm sure he'll be helpful. She was talking about it, you know.
Was she? Why?
Oh, just coincidence, I expect. Conversation.
She didn't make anything of it, did she?
Oh, no. She just heard a rumour, years ago, but she did try to pump me for information. I didn't give her any, of course.
Good lad, Timon. I shall need to look at Lady Zibia very closely.
Oh, sire.
Some things are worth tolerating. Oh, our high priest. Timon, will you excuse us? Enjoying the banquet, Your Grace?
An extremely well-managed event, Your Majesty. This is a very fine example of lamb's liver.
Yes. Everything's kosher, too. I made sure. And it's all been checked for poison.
Your Majesty is satirical.
Oh, far be it from me to poison the high priest. Oh, was that a shock? I know what you're thinking. You're thinking about the Jewish High Council when I became king now, aren't you?
Their terminations can spring to mind.
Yes. Well, I had to do that, you see. You know that. I'd only just been appointed. I had to establish a dynasty, consolidate rule. I mean, how could I with those reactionary old farts breathing down my neck?
As always, Your Majesty resolutely applied your mind to political realities.
Well put, yes. Very, very well put. I have always pursued stability, unity,
thoughts keenly focused and unclouded by sentiment.
Security of the realm. I have never shirked responsible action.
Never for one moment.
Well, the council was decades ago. I get on like a house on fire with the clergy these days, don't I? Especially our high priest. You help me maintain that harmonious balance of our interests for the sake of the people. Confound them. And finding your replacement would be too much work at my age. Candidates, lobbying, petitions. I think I'll keep you.
I rejoice. Your Majesty is a fountain of hilarity.
Yes, I have my moments. Well, you munch away, tuck in.
You wanted to see me, Your Majesty?
Yes, well, Your Grace, it's that time of year again.
Oh, the
anniversary.
Oh, of the incident. Yes, of course, the incident. Does Your Majesty feel any easier as regards dealing with it this year?
I can't say I do.
The mothers will have forgotten by now. Well, not forgotten, not actually forgotten, but the sting will be greatly diminished. The immediacy of emotion will be gone in some cases, I imagine. Time is a great healer. And, of course...
I know. It was only 8.
Possibly only 7. Apparently one was not too badly affected and survived. The soldier was unenthusiastic.
That doesn't change anything.
Then, sire, I repeat what I said last year. You must see this in the light of logic and morality. What else could you have done? As you have just said, stability, unity, security. You recall the 3 Persian ambassadors. You remember their words.
Where is he that is born King of the Jews?
Exactly. They believed an heir had been born to you in this palace. Their reasons are unclear, except that they interpreted the appearance of a new star, which you yourself had not seen.
I wasn't looking.
Of course. And you summoned myself and the senior rabbis to settle what I could call the theological dimension.
King of the Jews means Messiah, doesn't it? I mean, that's theological.
Well, God's chosen king, yes, in the minds of many. And when we informed you from the prophets that this figure was to appear in Bethlehem, you chose to believe the prophets in this respect and took reasonable precautions.
Yes, and I even consulted you. You heard me give the order. I remember it all.
Then reflect on it and assure yourself that you probably spared your people a bitter and useless war. You can imagine the reaction of Rome if some hothead attempted to topple your regime by announcing he had found the new king in Bethlehem. But you wisely made sure there was no new king to be found. Preemptive wisdom, sire. True, you could not with certainty target a single individual, but knowing the age range, you realized you could avert thousands of casualties by allowing only 8 or 7. No, Your Majesty, you guaranteed stability and safety by safeguarding your regime. There was no choice, sire. The country is, in fact, in your debt.
Yes, in impeccable logic. No doubt history will prove you correct. Well, thank you for coming. I'm sure you'll want to get back to the banquet.
Only too happy to serve. Good night, sire.
I wish you hadn't said probably.
Your Majesty, allow me to say that you, of all people, have had the opportunity to observe firsthand what the Roman war machine is capable of. Many believe me theologically liberal, but I am convinced that the appearance of a Messiah at this time would tear this nation and its history in two. It is the last thing we want. Thus far you have protected us from it. Frankly, sir, you would do it again, and you'd be right. Good night, sir.
You shouldn't play with him like that, you know. He represents my detestable subjects. I feel I get my own back. You shouldn't be listening anyway.
I always listen when it's the High Priest you might need me. You get yourself into such a lather at times. You needed the green bottle once, remember?
Yes, he's a cold fish. He's a walking brain. I never met such a logical man in my life. He must have been brought up by statues.
Sire, you're not going to marry Lady Zibir, are you?
My heart doesn't leap at the prospect, Simon, but consider the practical issues. An aristocratic Jewish wife would help my position with the people. A shrewd thinker by my side would be no bad thing, and there might be sons.
But you've got sons.
Wastrels, plotters. They look out for themselves. Antipater's the worst. I think the people hate him more than me.
Oh, that reminds me. The guard's been waiting with the prison report about Antipater.
Oh, well, let's find out how he's lowering the tone down there. Bring the guard in. Now then, what do you have to tell me?
Sire, the prince is comfortable.
More than he deserves. What else?
He's very quiet, sir. He asked me to express his gratitude for your choice of leg irons. He says they're not too heavy.
Well, watch him. He's not to be trusted. Yeah, give him this. Here's some chicken legs and a couple of lark's tongues. I won't give you wine. You'll drink it on the way. Tell him I'll visit him next week, if he behaves himself.
Thank you, sir. Sire, permit me to say I'm very moved. You don't think Antipater would sort of reform, do you?
Not a chance. No more than the rest of them. But there's a surprise coming. The dynasty ends with me. I'm dividing the kingdom up. They can have a piece each. It's in my will already. I'm the last king of the Jews. Unless...
Sire,
Unless there was some little boy, a new heir, the first of a new line.
The dynasty would go on.
And the people would accept him, you see, if he had that Jewish mother from the old royal line.
So there'll be no tears when I go. You can come in now.
Oh, come on. I told you I miss nothing. The curtain twitching, the door edging open. How long have you been there?
I was waiting for your Majesty's summons.
Look, if you and I are to get anywhere, you won't lie to me. And in any case, I'll make no decision while your husband's alive. I'm not so tasteless. Now come over here. Sit down. I suppose you heard all that.
I couldn't help but hear.
Yeah?
Your Majesty spoke of the dynasty. You were gracious enough to consider that I'd...
Stop talking like a Roman monument. You're not reading the minutes of the Senate, you know. Talk to me like a real person. So, you heard me?
Yes.
All right, down to business. I suppose you're in a position to reproduce.
Yes.
But you don't have any children. Why not?
Uzzah didn't want any. He said he was too busy.
Well, it only needs 10 minutes now and again. How busy could he be? Finance and the brain. All right, children a distinct possibility. Now then, good legs under that Roman horse blanket, wouldn't you say, Timon? Oh, never mind, they'll still be there in the honeymoon. Now, stand up. Oh, no. I'd want you more statuesque. Chin up, shoulders back. Breeding's not everything, you know. You have to look the part. Oh, your makeup's overdone. You look like a Celtic chieftain. Well, I suppose there's nothing that can't be modified or hidden.
Oh, for goodness sake.
And with everything else taken into account, the arrangement is not impossible.
Timon, is he mad?
No. Well, we ought to get to know each other a little better. Some enlightening conversation. Timon, did I ever tell you how I became King of the Jews?
Frequently?
Oh, I'd love to hear that.
Now, you're not just saying that.
No, really, I'm fascinated.
Oh, all right then. Now, cast your mind back 35 years. The Roman world in turmoil, decades of civil war. Great men arise. Caesar, Brutus, Antony. The power struggles are endless. Meanwhile, General Pompey has occupied this little land of Judea and brought it into the empire. Who impresses the Romans but the Herod family? The youngest son is particularly outstanding. A vigorous commander and tactician. He is deployed to pacify the bandits in the north. Soon he amasses power and wealth and becomes a great man in the kingdom. We were Idumeans, of course, not Jewish at all, but we were the leaders Rome wanted.
That would be before you were king, before Mariamne.
What?
Before Mariamne.
Don't mention that whore to me! The stink of her adulteries sickened me. She forsook me. She plotted with her lovers to bring me down. But I wreaked justice on her.
Now, justice on who?
On her, that woman, the queen.
Oh, dear, it looks as if your tummy's got the collywobbles. Have a little sip of this.
Thank you, Timon, thank you. Yes, the queen, Mariamne.
Mariamne lives in Egypt now, remember? A long way away, and she's been there for a long, long time.
Oh, yes, of course. Silly of me. What was I saying? What was I saying, Timon? Oh, so long ago, so far away. So much done, and I can't remember. I can't remember my life. I don't even know if it mattered. Tell me, Timon. Tell me it matters that I'm alive.